Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick with me? Famous scenes with drama queens and heroes acting out there on a silver screen. Come grab a seat, the popcorn is on me.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Hello there. Welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. I'm Noel T. II. So glad to have Douglas Davidson back. I tell you, Douglas, it felt like forever since you were on the show. And then now, like in the past month, what, 3 times I think we've had you on the show?
I think that's about right. So it's almost time for me to go back into hibernation, I think, before we start getting the non-viewer mail about how I need to go away again. I gotta show up, do a little razzle dazzle, and then disappear. That's how you keep them wanting you to come back.
Yeah, and if you want that non-viewer mail email address, it's info@c19.tv. That's info@c19.tv. Well, I will tell you, I want to apologize to both you and the audience. When I looked at what we were going to cover, I thought it was the Oahu International Film Festival. So that's why I'm wearing my Honolulu gear. But I guess since you're wearing a Camp Overlook shirt, well, I could call this my camping gear. So
that's right.
We are going to be talking about not the Oahu International Film Festival today, but the Overlook International Film Festival today, which is a little bit different. Does not take place in Hawaii.
That is true. That is true. Though there are some tropical, if you will, sorts of tales. Though tropical that is probably not quite appropriate for New Zealand. But I was trying to make the connection.
That's okay.
But for those of you that aren't familiar, the Overlook Film Festival takes place in New Orleans. It is a horror-centric film festival. They have world premieres. They do local premieres. Just a Louisiana premiere type of screening. International repository return screenings. They showed Sinners again this year, and I think they had that one on 35 millimeter. So
wow.
They do that. They do repository, as I mentioned. I'm going to hopefully have time to talk about one of them on this program. A couple of films that screened at the Overlook Film Festival. We actually talked about on a recent South by Southwest program, where Never After Dark, a film that I recommended and is a phenomenal film, just won an award, just announced just prior to this recording, for Never After Dark at the Overlook Film Festival. So, I'm not saying I liked it and that's why it won awards, but it won awards and I like it. So you might want to check it out. At least give it a shake, whether I like it or not. But this is actually my 4th time covering the Overlook Film Festival, and it is always got best way to phrase it, it's got wonderful flavor. It's always got an interesting selection of films, again, that could be having their premieres, may have just screened at South by, or maybe are just opportunities for audiences to check something out they hadn't seen as an anniversary. So it's always a good time. As when I first heard of the Overlook Film Festival, I, of course, thought, as most folks do with The Shining, thought of the Overlook Hotel.
Yes.
And I think it did at one point have a connection to that, but I'm not entirely certain. All I can speak to is for the last 4 years I've covered it, it's been housed in New Orleans, which is itself its own sort of spooky atmosphere. So it still works.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, when you and I first started talking about movies years ago, and when we first had you on Meet Me at the Movies, one of the things you know where I'm headed with this.
I do. That came up. It was about 7 years ago was my first appearance. And you guys were like, "You don't watch horror movies, do you?" And I went, "I am a giant chicken.
Yeah.
I am a chicken in a man suit."
Exactly. So that's that kind of leads me to this perfect question. Yeah, when we talked, you said that you just didn't watch horror films, and there were some reasons why, and they were legitimate. It wasn't just because you were a chicken. There were reasons why. So tell me what's changed, because I know in recent years you were diving deeper into horror films than I ever thought you would. And so every time, but for a few years after, whenever you talk about watched a horror film, I said, wait a minute, dude, what are you doing torturing yourself? What is that all about?
Well, the easiest way to put it is that the things that scared me before, Still kind of do, but I have a better understanding of my perception, if that makes sense. I hmm, Hereditary by Ari Aster. There's several moments in that movie where the young man, I forget which of the Wolf Boys it is, but he thinks he sees his sister who has died at this point in the movie in the corner, and her head falls off, and it ends up being a basketball. There's actually a medical term for that. It's hypogogia. And it's where when you wake up in the middle of the night, you see things because your brain still thinks that it's asleep. So it's taking what it sees and adding elements to it. Well, I've had that my entire life, and I just didn't know it had a name. So I've always been scared of the dark. I've always been scared of horror movies because my imagination does this stuff to me. I don't need to feed it anything else. So when I went to my neurologist for a regular thing and talked to them about it. They gave me the term. With that understanding, I also, in trying to be a better professional as a film critic, I started exploring other things. And certainly in 2020, when a lot of stuff was shut down and people were trying to figure out how do we keep things going, even though maybe we're at home or even as slowly things opened in 2021 and later, a lot of horror festivals were doing things online. And I put myself out there. I was like, look, there's some interesting stories. I know where my line is. And so I don't do, we'll call it torture, heavy gore related things, but I can do psychological thrillers. I can do slashers to a point. So I've been pushing myself, and as a result of that, I've really found some truly amazing films that are not only national but international. Some of them are animated. Like, there are so many great stories that, while yes, I still like my action films and I like my comedies and my martial arts films, but I've really found some really great stuff here in the horror community.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that background, and I'm sorry to bring back up your tortured past, but let's but let's dive into some of these films. We've got about 5 I know we'd love to cover, and the first one, I think, Mārama. Is that
Mārama.
correct? I've got to do that with a question mark, like Leonard Wood on The Big Bang Theory. Mārama, so because I don't know. But I do want to ask you this. So last week when I had Thomas on the show, he was talking about cannibals. So are any cannibals in this in the things we're going to cover today? I just want to prepare the audience just in case.
Not technically.
Okay.
Not technically. We'll get to that one.
All right.
But not technically. So no cannibalism. I'm going to comfortably say no on purpose cannibalism.
Okay. All right.
But in this film, this is actually is another award winner out of the Overlook Film Festival. I believe it's Scariest Feature is the award that it was given. Last year it was Best Wishes to All, which is a film by another filmmaker I'm hoping to discuss on here with a new project that they have. Teratoa Stafford is the writer-director of Mārama. It is a Maori Gothic horror film. And the premise of it is that there's this young woman by the name of Mary who travels to England because she receives a letter that says, I have known you your entire life. You have no idea who I am. I have information on your family. I know you want that information. If you come see me, I will answer all of your questions. And so she travels, I think in the movie they say it's 73 days. It's, I think, the late 18th, early 19th century where this story takes place. And she travels to England, and first, things are received a little cold when she first arrives, but when the owner of the estate that she has traveled to finds her, offers her a job, is open arms, and hey, be part of our group. And the longer she's there, the more unsettled she becomes. The warmer things are, the more uncomfortable things become. And what's really important to understand is that this film opens with a warning from the filmmaker that what we're about to witness borrows from true stories of the relationship between the Maori community and the United Kingdom community. And the fact that the United Kingdom had a history of colonization where they came to New Zealand and just claimed land that belonged to the Maori and proceeded to do some, we'll call it, some unkind things. And so borrowing from that history, this film takes its seed and it is pretty gnarly. But the warning is that we look at these things and we borrow this story to create this tale in order to face it and to take control of it. So this isn't a film, a horror film, in which we watch someone necessarily become victimized over and over and over again. It's more about the seething rage that exists within the Maori community as it pertains to this history and perhaps reparations not being yet made. It is a remarkable film. It is unsettling in the sense that the cinematography is such that during daytime things are really washed out, and one gets the sense of coldness despite not knowing what time of year it is. Where at night the cinematography is such where it's very natural, so unless there's a candle lit, you don't really see much beyond that frame or that space. The colors are really rich and opulent, which does suggest a sort of wealth and excess, but that's not what's important. It's about what potentially one can get swallowed up by. It's a really remarkable film, and actually, by the time this airs, it should be in theaters. Highly recommend checking it out. Based on the scale that you use, I give this film an A-.
All right, A-. The name of the film again?
Mārama.
Mārama.
Oh yeah.
And if you want to say it with an accent, how would you say it with an accent?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not so good with my Maori.
Just choose your accent, man. Just lean into it. Mārama! Just do it angry. Do it angry if you want to.
I was about to say with the rage would be absolutely appropriate.
All right, we're going to take a quick intermission. We're going to come back and try to cover 4 films right after this short break.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Want to stay connected to everything happening at Cleveland Community College? C19's monthly show, In the Loop, brings you the stories, updates, and the highlights that matter most right from campus. From program spotlights and upcoming events to alumni interviews and college updates, In the Loop keeps you informed and engaged. Catch home game schedules for all CCC athletics, plus fun and meaningful conversations with the Yeti along the way. Whether you're a student, employee, alumni, or supporter of CCC, this is your inside look at life on campus. Tune in monthly on C19 and stay in the loop with Cleveland Community College.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Hey, folks, welcome back to the Meet Me at the Movies TV show. Douglas Davidson joining us, and we are talking about the Overlook Film Festival. Last time Douglas was with us, we talked about a bunch of things, but we have had him on recently talking about South by Southwest, so he is our resident, I guess you could call him our resident film festival reviewer right now. We'll go ahead and give you, I'll get some cards made up and I'll send them your way.
I'll take it.
We'll have to settle on what that name's got to be, but we want to talk about another film that is in theaters, Normal, and this guy that we've seen, he's been through a lot lately on film. A lot of damage happens to this guy, but he keeps on going. Let's talk about this film, Normal, and then after that, we might talk about something that relates to cannibals. We'll see.
But let's talk about Normal. Normal is the new Ben Wheatley movie, director of High Rise, And in the Earth, one of my personal favorites is Free Fire, which is an absolutely chaotic piece of cinema, of crime cinema. But this one is written by Derek Holstad, which, if you don't know that name, you absolutely know his work. This is the guy who literally created the John Wick universe. He is behind Nobody, and it's through Nobody that Derek Kolstad and Bob Odenkirk, who stars in the Nobody movies, met each other, and they came up with a story for what would become Normal that Kolstad ended up drafting, Odenkirk stars in, along with a number of other actors like Henry Winkler and Lena Headey, who show up in this film, which is anything but what the title says. It is a ferocious joyride of absolute chaos. The premise of Normal is, and by the way, it's not in any way connected to either the John Wick universe or the Nobody films in any way, shape, or form. Because in the Nobody films with Odenkirk, he was a former special operative who had retired and had been retired for a long time and was feeling the itch of not being in action, and then stuff happens. Here, Odenkirk plays a sheriff by the name of Ulysses, who has been a part-time sheriff for a number of years. There is a reason why. The film gets into it, and as always, it's some sort of tragic backstory.
Yes, sir.
He has now ended up in Normal, Minnesota. He's only supposed to be there for 8 weeks. The sheriff who was there, who was beloved by everybody, has recently died, and he's just stepping in to sort of help with the transition before there is another election. He's not meant to do anything more, and he will say this: just make sure everybody's cool, stamp some papers, move on at the end of 8 weeks.
I say we play the hand that's been dealt to all.
This is the type of sheriff that, even though he wants to just observe and move on and not be engaged with people, he can't help himself but get engaged with people. So that when a bank robbery happens, rather than things escalating, he wants to step in and just smooth things out. I think the line in the movie is, calm cleans messy every time. Well, when he goes to enter that bank, he doesn't realize that what's in the bank is really important, and a bunch of people don't want anyone to find out. At which point, the town of Normal reveals itself to be something else entirely. It is ridiculous. It is bombastic. If you like the kind of action film in which most everybody doesn't know what they're doing, and there's a chance that the good guys might make it out if they get lucky, you're going to enjoy yourself. It's just a rambunctious, ridiculous time at the movies. And sometimes that is exactly what you want. And Kolstad has really figured out how to tell a story that has larger stakes with a small crew. Wheatley, as director, understands how to direct chaos, and particularly large ensembles when you're moving from location to location. And Odenkirk has figured out really where his wheelhouse is sort of a late-stage action hero, but particularly in this, where he's not the action hero we've seen in Nobody, who knows how to take down 15 guys with a pencil like John Wick. This is someone who's sort of accidentally blowing people up with a grenade launcher, or, ooh, there's some dynamite. I wonder what this could do. Like, it's a really good time because it's, in some cases, unpredictable. And that's what makes it really entertaining.
Well, three things that I was drawn into. Ulysses, that was going to be my name, but they settled on Noel. So Ulysses, I'm like, yep, got to see it. The second thing is chaos. Anytime there's chaos, I'm there. I want to embrace it. And the third thing is, I think you said that they kind of show up, don't really know what they're doing. It's kind of like this show. I never know what I'm doing. So I'm in. I am in. I am absolutely in for this movie.
I will provide one quick warning for those that might be photosensitive. There are 2 sequences in the film that could be triggering for anyone that suffers either from seizures or can get migraines. A lot of the film takes place at night, especially when the action kicks off. And there's an elongated scene you might notice in the trailer with a white flashing light and not a long sequence, but a sequence involving lights of cop cars swirling. So if you have any issues with photosensitivity, just be advised, maybe take your meds before you go in, that kind of thing.
Film is normal. Your rating?
I gave that one a B+.
Right.
It is a good time.
Awesome. B+ for normal. And hey, if you get hungry, you might want to have some chili fingers. Let's talk about chili fingers.
So here's the almost cannibalism. Chili Finger is a crime thriller comedy, dark comedy, that is actually based on a true story. And if you don't know the story and you're curious, go see the movie first, then look it up. Mostly because the story serves as we'll call it the skeleton, the foundation for why things happen in this movie, but not necessarily the way things happen in this movie. This was co-directed by Ed Benda and Stephen Helstad. Helstad did write this script. It's got Judy Greer, John Goodman, Bryan Cranston, and Sean Astin in central roles in this, along with a number of other supporting characters that are with performances that are really impressive. I know Thomas has seen it, and he did an interview with the cinematographer. He would say this. I agree with it. It's a Coen Brothers type film. It's that sort of Raising Arizona meets Fargo energy in it, where some people know what they're doing, some people know what they're looking for. All it takes is to make the right choice, not necessarily the choice that's going to get you what you want, but the right choice, and all of this stops. But because no one makes the right choice, it just keeps going. And because Noel had teed it up, it's important to understand here that what ends up happening is that a husband and wife go out to a restaurant after having dropped off their child who's just gone to college. They're having a bad day. They miss their daughter. And the wife, played by Judy Greer, goes to eat her chili, and inside of it is a finger that is in her mouth, and she spits out. So it is almost cannibalism, but not quite. And so the question becomes, how did the finger get in there? What else could possibly go wrong? And how do we sort out truth from fiction, from the story we tell ourselves about what is and what should be? It is a ridiculous film. It is an absolutely good time. It premiered at South by Southwest. It is still in the festival circuit. No current distribution plan that I've been made aware of, but it is certainly one to keep an eye out for, and also to make sure to, check your food bowls before you.
And for our viewers, that is also why we do not have a trailer for this particular film yet. We do have the images as we've tried to show you, but no trailer. Your rating for Chili Finger?
B+.
All right, B+. B+ for Chili
These
Finger.
are some steady recommendations so far.
Awesome. We've got time for one more, and I think there's one called New Group that you wanted to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. New Group. So earlier in the show, I talked about Best Wishes for All. It had won the Scariest Feature Award last year. This is from the same writer-director, Yuta Shimotsu. I've covered Best Wishes for All last year. It is a wild movie. This filmmaker likes to create satire horror films in which I'm going to take, like Best Wishes for All, the idea of how do we define happiness, how do we find happiness, and push it as far as we can go. And with New Group, this film is about a high schooler who is struggling to fit in. She knows right from wrong, but more or less wants to be left alone. Why? This film explores in detail. But one day, while she and her classmates in Japan are out doing their exercises in gym class, the gym teacher starts getting super aggressive. And when I say super aggressive, I mean hitting a student. And then the next day, we see that gym teacher is in a gym formation, in a cheerleading formation, hands and knees on the field. And later when they look, now there's a pyramid. 2 other people have joined. End of the day, they disappear. Next day, now there's more people. Not only are there more people, but some of the students are getting involved. Nobody really seems to understand it. Nobody really seems to be able to figure out why. And not enough people are asking questions, but our lead character, does. She wants to know what's going on. Some other people want to know what's going on. And they start to realize that as they investigate it, other students are noticing that they're investigating it, and they appear in gym formations and start coming after them, moving in these groups where it could be people just doing somersaults. It could be people crawling. Some people are doing the worm, but they're all moving as a singular group. And the idea of the film is to explore this notion of what is a group, what makes for a good group, what makes for a healthy group. And when I wrote about this movie, I made connections between Yo Gabba Gabba and Todd Browning's Freaks, Yo Gabba Gabba being the kids' show, and Todd Browning's Freaks, as well as Little Shop of Horrors. Because the only way to really understand New Group is to know that it's a cosmic horror film that will have you wondering why you're in the groups you're in and whether or not you should be.
Awesome. And your
It's a
rating
wild,
for...
it's a wild and silly movie. I give this one an A-.
All right, cool.
It is way more straight than Best Wishes to All is. So if you liked that, look for this one. And this actually got picked up before Overlook started. It was picked up for distribution by Shudder. And Shudder is part of the Independent Film Company. They sometimes release their films in theaters, even when they're Shudder acquired. But then they do eventually come to the streaming service. So if you have access to Shudder, you can watch Best Wishes to All now, and then you can keep an eye out for New Group to come down later on this year.
Awesome. And we do actually have 1 minute left. Do you want to cover Habit, or do you want to come back and do that later?
Just real quick, Habit is a film from 1995 by writer-director Larry Fessenden. He has a new film coming out called Trauma or Monsters All. That film brings together the characters of Habit, Depraved, and Blackout, which are all his interpretation of monster movies as explorations of human trauma. And this new film just premiered, so Overlook screened the other 3 films as part of it. All 3 were released by the Independent Film Company when it was known as IFC Films. All of them are available to own. All of them are available to stream. I've seen 2 out of the 3 that have released already. They are incredibly interesting, character-driven films if you're looking for a different approach to a vampire, werewolf, or Frankenstein story.
Awesome. Douglas Davidson joining us again right here on Meet Me at the Movies. So glad to have him back and talking about the Overlook Film Festival. You could actually find more information about Overlook and previous year's festivals if you go online, overlookfilmfest.com. Douglas, always good to see you, buddy. Looking forward to having you back next time. Just pitch me some ideas, man. I'm always game. Always game to have you back on, especially if I don't have to do a lot of work. So there you go.
Understood. Copy.
And to our viewers, thank you so much as well. And that non-viewer mail email address again that you were asking about, somebody asked about during the break, info@c19.tv, info@c19.tv. And yeah, we're still trying to get a Meet Me at the Movies email address, but Tim won't give it to us. So there you go. Just keep asking. We'll keep seeing what we can do. Until next time, for the entire cast and crew right here at C19, I'm Noel T. Manning II for Douglas Davidson, and this is a wrap. That is a wrap for this week.
Many films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.